Multiple reports just show that the New York Mets could be involved in a blockbuster trade to bring a legitimate number one starter to this rotation. Next on MetCast. Welcome back to the channel, friends. As always, I am Rain. If you like our content, consider liking and subscribing to our content. One like equals one I love Juan Soto. But let's get right to the news. A report just surfaced that the New York Mets could be involved in a blockbuster trade to get a legitimate number one starter. But first, I want to explain to you why. Obviously, Severino has gone on to the A's. They offered him 3 years, $67 million, which he accepted. And obviously, Sean Manaea was offered that exact same contract prior to Severino accepting it. So now the New York Mets are stuck looking all over MLB, including the free agency market, which obviously seems to be completely bloated at this time, to add a legitimate number one or two starter to this rotation. Obviously, Sean Manaea is still around, but odds have it that he's going to get 4 years in the $100+ million range. Some even say potentially 5 years for Manaea, coming off of one good season, and we'll break that down shortly. But first, I want to get right to what you're all here for, and that is a report from SNY, which also comes from Ken Rosenthal and The Athletic. Mets free agency and trade buds. New York Mets team to inquire about potential Luis Castillo trade. I love hearing this. Multiple teams are in on it, but let's keep reading. The Mariners are open to trading right-handed pitcher Luis Castillo if the return makes sense for them, and the Mets have reportedly checked in with Seattle. According to The Athletic, Ken Rosenthal, the Mets, Orioles, Red Sox, and Cubs have reached out to the Mariners to at least inquire about a potential Castillo trade. Castillo went 11-12 and pitched to a 3.64 ERA, pitching for the light-hitting Mariners in 2024. The year prior, however, was a different story. The right-hander was 14-9 with a 3.34 ERA, a 1.096 whip en route to his third All-Star selection after being fifth in Cy Young voting in 2023. I would love to add this guy to our rotation. The Mets continue to seek rotation help after acquiring Frankie Montas and Clay Holmes this offseason. New York potentially could seek a reunion with Sean Manaea and have also been linked to Walker Buehler, Jack Flaherty, and Nick Pivetta. And that's kind of where we're at with this. I would love a Luis Castillo addition. I'm going to explain to you why as well. When we're comparing the two players, it's very important to keep things in perspective. Let's take a peek at Sean Manaea's not only last year, but the last couple of years. Sean Manaea, we all know the year that he had for us, right? So Sean Manaea last year had a 3.47 ERA. No one can take that away from him. Very good year, a 9 whip, which is actually a little bit under what he did the last couple seasons. But it's more about what he did prior. 2022, 4.96 ERA in 158 innings. That's not a small sample size. 2023, a 4.44 ERA. Again, not a small sample size. So the New York Mets may be saying, you know what? He is entering his age 33 season, might be looking for a 5-year contract. So you're talking 33, 34, 35, 36, and 37 for a guy who's had one solid year. Let's call a spade here, folks. One solid year. Now, on the other hand, we can move over to Luis Castillo and see what he's done over the last 3 years. Here's Luis Castillo over the last 3 years. Last year, 2024, as I said, 3.64 ERA. 23, 3.34 ERA. 22, well, he only pitched 65 innings, but a 3.17 ERA. I mean, there's no comparison. Look at the whip, 9, same as Manaea. Before then, 10-10, and then before that, a 10.6 ERA. For me, there's a no-brainer. Think about this. As Met fans, we clamor because of the pitching lab. Look what it did for Jose Quintana, David Peterson, Sean Manaea, Luis Severino. It turned all these guys into having pretty much right around career years, if not better. Imagine what it could do for a guy like Luis Castillo. Take him back 1 year to that Cy Young year. I mean, he's only 1 year removed from being 5th in the Cy Young. And then let's go to his contract really quick, because that's also important in the grand scheme of things. I know everyone thinks that Steve Cohen is an endless flow of cash, but at the end of the day, it's not always about the cash. It's about the years. And here's the remaining on Luis Castillo's contract. He's got 4 years, roughly $100 million with that vesting option in 28. 24.1, 24.1, 24.1, and 25 million. For me, it's a no-brainer who the Mets should pick up. And that's not saying that the New York Mets can't pick up both Manaea and Castillo. Actually, matter of fact, I think that's a very big possibility. You're telling me $50 million you secure the front of your rotation? I mean, look at what Blake Snell and those guys are going for. Great pitchers are getting $35 to $37 million. $50 million, you get both these guys. And then you have Senga making what, 15 to 18 million? He's making next to nothing. I know it would be a massive difference. Think about this. If you're a Mets fan, the starting rotation that you could roll out there, and odds are you're going to roll out a 6-man rotation, but your front four are pretty damn good. Castillo, Sean Manaea, Kodai Senga, David Peterson. You got Frankie Montas to be your 5th. And hopefully Roki Sasaki ends up being our 6th. And you can take everyone else and keep them down in the minors. Brandon Sproat starts out in the minors. That's what great organizations do. Luis Castillo, guys like that just don't become available all the time. I mean, look what Max Fried just got, 8-year contracts for a guy who's always hurt. This to me is a no-brainer move. And I don't think it's going to cost a ton. Rumor has it Seattle's trying to sharpen their budget down. And the New York Mets could take on that salary. And it probably wouldn't cost them a ton. We're talking an out of a top 8 prospect probably, if I really had to think about it. I understand the Orioles, the Red Sox, and everybody else is involved. But the Mets appear to me to be the most desperate. Now, it's easy to sit there and say, well, Manaea will only cost us money. And I totally understand that argument. But for me, it's about getting better than where we were last year. Manaea got tagged against the Dodgers. It is what it is. Guys like Castillo, they're horses. And our goal is to eventually surpass the Dodgers. You didn't bring Juan Soto in here to run it back last year just with him in right field. That's not the case. And regardless if Pete comes back, Pete doesn't come back, we go after a Bregman. You explore other options. Beatty at third base, that should have zero, and I mean zero impact on this pitching rotation. Let me know if you guys agree with me. Maybe you don't. Maybe you think I'm nuts. You guys don't want to give up your prospects, and I totally understand that. Some may say David Stearns is kind of a quote-unquote prospect hugger, but look what he's done in Milwaukee. These guys are coming out left and right. So let me know what you guys think down below. Should the Mets take the big swing, maybe bring in both those guys and bring Pete back and then run it back? That's a major difference when you're adding a potential number 1 and Juan Soto to the current team that we have. Plus, Vientos is another year older, hopefully going to get better. Nimmo needs to have a bounce back year. He needs to bring that average up. But again, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Do you agree with me? I'll be sure to get back to each and every single one of you. And again, if you like our content, please like and subscribe. And until next time, take care.